The Floating Leaf Adventure. The morning after a big rainstorm, Benny Bear stepped out of his cozy den and stretched his paws. The fresh forest air smelled of wet earth and blooming flowers. Birds chirped cheerfully, shaking water droplets from their feathers. Just then, Ruby Rabbit came hopping toward him, her ears bouncing with excitement. "Benny, come quick, you have to see this," she called. Curious, Benny followed his friend through the damp grass. Ruby led him to the riverbank, where the usually calm stream was rushing faster than ever. The rain had made the water deep and strong, carrying fallen leaves, twigs, and even small logs downstream. But something unusual caught Benny's eye, a giant leaf bright green and wide enough for both of them to sit on, floating steadily down the river. "Wow!" Benny gasped. "That's the biggest leaf I've ever seen." Ruby's eyes sparkled with mischief. "Let's hop on." Benny hesitated. "Are you sure it's safe?" Ruby grinned. "Only one way to find out." Before Benny could protest, she took a daring leap and landed right in the middle of the leaf. It wobbled slightly but held firm. "Come on, Benny, it's like a boat." Benny took a deep breath and carefully climbed on. As soon as his paws touched the leaf, the current pulled them forward, and just like that, they were floating down the river. A journey downstream. The river carried them gently at first, winding through the lush forest. Sunlight sparkled on the water's surface, making everything look magical. Benny leaned back, letting out a relaxed sigh. "This is actually kind of nice," he admitted. "Told you," Ruby giggled. She dipped a paw into the cool water, sending tiny ripples across the surface. As they drifted along, friendly frogs sitting on lily pads croaked a welcome. One particularly plump frog hopped onto their leaf. "Where are you two headed?" the frog asked. Benny shrugged. "We're just floating along." The frog nodded wisely. The river has a way of leading travellers to unexpected places. Before they could ask what he meant, the frog leaped off and disappeared into the reeds. A splashy surprise. Further down the river, something shiny caught Benny's eye. "Look! Fish!" he said, pointing to a group of small silver fish swimming beside them. Ruby waved. "Hello, fish friends." One of the fish, a little blue one, popped its head above the water. "You're floating toward Ripple Falls." "Ripple Falls," Benny gulped. "That sounds big." The fish nodded. "Not too big, but you should hold on tight." Then, with a flick of its tail, it disappeared underwater. Benny and Ruby exchanged nervous glances. "Maybe we should paddle back," Benny suggested. Ruby tried using her paws to steer, but the river was too strong. They were headed straight for the falls. "Over the edge!" The river began to speed up. The sound of rushing water grew louder. Benny clung to the edges of the leaf. "Hold on, Ruby." With a final whoosh, the leaf tipped over the waterfall. For a split second, they were in the air, then splash, they landed in a deep, clear pool below. The leaf spun in slow circles before coming to a gentle stop. Benny gasped. "We're alive!" Ruby laughed, shaking water from her fur. "That was amazing." Looking around, they realized they were now in a calmer part of the river, where the water flowed lazily around smooth stones. A family of ducks quacked nearby, watching them with amusement. A friendly turtle on the riverbank called out, "Need help getting back home?" The way home. Benny and Ruby paddled their leaf towards the shore where the turtle waited. He showed them a smaller stream that led back toward their part of the forest. "Follow this path, and you'll find your way home," the turtle said with a wise nod. "Thank you, Mr. Turtle," Ruby said cheerfully. With one final push, Benny and Ruby paddled their leaf into the gentle stream. This time the ride was slow and peaceful. The river carried them past familiar trees and flowers, until finally they saw Benny's den just beyond the bank. They carefully stepped off the leaf and onto dry ground. Benny stretched and shook out his fur. "That was quite an adventure," he said. "The best one yet," Ruby agreed. As the sun began to set, they sat by the river watching their giant leaf float off into the distance. Who knew what other adventures it might have next? One thing was certain, Benny and Ruby would definitely go on another adventure soon.